Hello, everyone. We begin our report tonight with the work stoppage in the House of Representatives and the work stoppage for 75,000 healthcare workers on the picket lines. In the House, which is without a speaker Wednesday after ousting Kevin McCarthy, 2 Republicans have already announced their bids for the speakership. The second highest-ranking Republican in the House, Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and founding member of the Conservative Freedom Caucus, Jim Jordan. The uncertainty surrounding House leadership means every other agenda item will have to wait until the job gets filled.
It does worry me, but I know there are a majority of members of the House and Senate in both parties who have said that they support funding Ukraine.
CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Kevin McCarthy's name still hangs above the doorway, but the fight to replace him is on. Top Republicans Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan both officially announced their candidacies today.
I think I can.
But whether they have the votes to succeed and when the House will eventually reopen for business are both open questions.
Is there anything you can tell us about the schedule or what happens next?
The interim speaker, North Carolina's Patrick McHenry, had no answers on the days ahead. The only certainty among most Republicans today, their disdain for colleague Matt Gaetz, who led the charge to remove McCarthy.
I think it was deplorable. I think it was disgraceful. And he put his own petty personal grievances ahead of the country.
Gaetz today continued to attack his colleagues.
The nerve of these establishment Republicans to have to take a week to go have a good cry and then blame us for being the reason that we can't get the work done.
The leadership vacuum and overall paralysis in the House is raising new worries about crashing into the new November 17th deadline to fund the government and avert a government shutdown.
The lights are off, the doors are locked indefinitely. What should folks make of that?
Yeah, they should be very concerned. I mean, the average American should be very concerned.
We need to change the poisonous atmosphere in Washington.
Also in danger, funding for Ukraine, which was left out of last weekend's deal to avert a shutdown. The Pentagon warning Congress this week that it's running out of money to replace weapons it sent to Ukraine. Any new speaker will have to contend with a growing number of House Republicans who think it's time to turn off the spigot.
You think what happened yesterday sends a pretty troubling message to Ukraine?
It sends a troubling message around the world.
And Scott MacFarlane joins me now from Capitol Hill. Scott, McCarthy lost his job because 8 Republicans thought he gave away too much to the Democrats. So then in that context, is there an emerging litmus test for the new speaker on how to handle that next negotiation that you just talked about in your piece?
The next speaker is going to have to figure that out, John. Going to figure out how to corral those 8 defectors and, oh, by the way, the rest of the Republican conference. In the meantime, there's a growing number of members of Congress who say they got to get rid of that rule, that quirky rule that led to Kevin McCarthy's ouster, that any one person can make a motion to vacate. The next speaker might want to get rid of that. It's possible, John, some of the Republicans in the conference make that a requirement of these nominees. You got to be willing to get rid of that rule, stand up to the defectors, then you get my vote.
Okay, so how do they get rid of that rule?
Well, let's be clear. The timing on this speaker vote is like when Fred Flintstone's trying to drive that car and his feet move real fast, the car doesn't go anywhere. They're going to have a meeting on the speaker vote to hear from the candidates Tuesday. The vote at its earliest would come next Wednesday, but nobody expects it to be resolved that quickly because neither of the 2 named candidates, Steve Scalise, the majority leader, Jim Jordan, chair of the House Judiciary Committee, has a clear path to 218. It's possible more people jump in. So there's a lot to be negotiated, including, among other things, that rule.
Yeah, the motion to vacate. So, Scott, isn't the next speaker going to run into all the same problems, which is that they only control one of the houses of Congress and the Democrats control the other one and the president happens to be from the other party? Is there any realization from what you've heard among Republicans that this is the nature of, what McCarthy was trying to do is govern and that's just the nature of where they are right now? Now that he's gone, is there just any idea about how they're going to go forward? Nothing's changed with the form of government.
And that's why the concerns are so significant in rising about a government shutdown and other possible standoffs. Because Kevin McCarthy, whether Republicans liked him or some Republicans loathed him, was the firewall. He helped avert the debt ceiling crisis in May. He worked with Democrats to avert a government shutdown Saturday and said unequivocally last night if he had to do it again, he'd do it the same way to avoid cutting paychecks out of the hands of service members. The next speaker is coming in with a different complexion to the political composition. He's coming in after Kevin McCarthy was ousted for doing just that. So it's not just that the clock's ticking, John, and it is 43 days to the deadline for a shutdown. But the next speaker may come in with a mandate not to cut deals with Democrats to avert shutdowns or other calamities. Quite a concern here.
And finally, quickly on Ukraine, the president and the majority of both parties in both houses support arming the Ukrainians against an invasion. That clock ticks in a very much more serious way for the Ukrainians. How does that money ever get out of the House of Representatives, given what they've just been through?
And that's what we heard out of the U.S. Senate today, John. Senator Mitch McConnell was giving his news conference today and leaned into that. Ukraine needs money and we need to provide it. One of the two men who are already in the race to be House Speaker, Jim Jordan of Ohio, has criticized the continued use of U.S. tax dollars to Ukraine. You got to get it through both chambers of Congress. And the outlook for that is increasingly grim, too.
Scott MacFarlane, always a pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you.